broadsword.
Yeah. The big thing about the Warhammer is 8s, 9s, and 10s are all bashes, right? On the red die results. 9s and 10s are also wounds. So it can do a lot of mess people up pretty nastily. But also, if you can use it with ferocious blows and great blows, you're like 40% to knock people around every time you roll the dice, even if he blocks your attack. So even if you successfully parry a Warhammer blow, it's still got a pretty good chance of bashing you. Now, all the bashes aren't necessarily going to have full effect, as we saw. Sometimes it's not the blow type you picked. And in the case of the Cimmerian hero over here, he also has this sure-footed ability that lets him savings to bash once per fight on 11 plus. But the Warhammer fighter is designed to knock the person around, and then once he's out of position because of a bash result, finish him off with that. As a two-handed polearm, it also has this polearm defense ability, which gives you a little bit of passive shield when you're pausing. You basically interpose the half of the weapon between you and the enemy, a bit like a shield. But overall, although this barbarian I'm playing is ferocious against many fighters, the Cimmerian opposite is significantly better than him, especially in speed terms. So he should be favored here.
So the Warhammer fighter, this is also one of the dual decks. He shows up as the Celtic Mole Berserker in the Romans dual deck.
One version of him, that's right.
Yeah.
This guy's a little bit higher.
Yeah. I know, not this particular, but yeah.
Yeah.
In terms,
but this is very similar. You're right. This is similar to the Mole Berserker guy.
So these are okay. So he's slower weapon, slightly less prowess, and he has hardened leather armor.
Yep, but so does the Cimmerian at this point.
No, I thought the Cimmerian was still armorless. Okay.
Oh. Not in the third era.
Oh, okay.
In the third era, he gets his armor.
All right. It's good to have armor.
So that's what I mean by he's
but
in his final
except
form,
the armor,
basically.
I mean, it does have a like. I'm gonna focus on the hardened leather. I'm gonna highlight on it real quick. So if you look at the armor, there are two columns on the card. Each row is based off of the attack type. So slash, cut, thrust, smash, great blow, and ferocious blow. So a smash is what the attack type is for the Warhammer. So you have armor. He's wearing hardened leather armor, but it doesn't do anything for to hit. It doesn't do anything for the damage. The one thing it will do is it will provide, if there is a red die result, which is in a wound card of 15 to 21, it will give a wound save. So it's better to have armor. But,
the other thing is the hardened leather doesn't do anything against my smash attacks, but it does do something against my ferocious blows.
Oh, fair point.
I'm a barbarian.
Yep, good point. Yep.
Right. Ferocious blows get pluses to a lot of things, and even with the armor doing a little bit against it, it's still a better attack than a smash, at least in the 2-hit chance. But one of the benefits of the impact weapons is they care less about armor, and that's certainly true here.
Yep.
Whenever you're ready, Thomas, I've got my first selections.
So Warhammer is long.
Slow. We're both the same length, but I'm slower than you.
And does more damage and can bash the hell out of me. Got it.
Yes.
Yes, it can.
Like right now, you have initiative for speed when we're tied on length. So, although the initiative state right now is longest weapon, the initiative state card says you default to fastest fighter if they're tied, and they are.
So, can you flip it over to fastest fighter so I can then highlight that, Jason? Or can I do that?
Over here on this side of the board, yeah.
I'm just not sure if I have flipping privileges. I've got fastest fighter highlighted now. So that's the initiative state that applies.
Okay, yep. Yeah, only because it's defaulted to it, but ready. What do you got?
I am flipping my action card and my action card. So I am in distance
and actively defending. And I kept distance and also... And I paused. So in one of the things here, we both kept distance, and it says there that our distance is now out of reach. So what this means is that we're out of measure of each other. Neither of us is capable of hurting the other guy for the next impulse. So I can just put down a pause card because we effectively have a shorter round. We'll get back into long reach after this, but in the second impulse, we can't hit each other. We stepped out of measure because we both backed away.
Correct.
Sometimes you do that on purpose, and sometimes you do it.
Yeah, and just real quick, I was just highlighting the distance card, but when I highlight it, out of reach is upside down. I don't know how to change it in Tabletop Simulator, but that's how you help track the distance.
Yep. That's contact short and.
Is that this guy over here, or no?
Yep.
Yeah. Distance is out of reach. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Sorry.
Now we're back in measure.
Now we're back in measure. He has the initiative. We're on the third impulse.
I'm thinking. Flip this so I can drag it out.
So what do you mean by you're back in measure? You guys
I mean that we're
distance?
exactly. We're long distance, and therefore each of us can attack each other normally. And out of reach, any attack that any of us threw would not land.
You're too far
So
away.
that second impulse, that second impulse where you were out of reach of each other.
Yep.
What happened there? Did you have to discard a pause or something?
Yep.
Correct.
We each played a pause, right? It says all attacks and active defenses played for this impulse have no effect. Change distance to long before the next impulse. So on impulse 3, we went back to long. That's just following the directions on the outer reach card.
Yeah.
Fair question.
Yeah,
And if this day happened and you didn't have any pauses, you would just have to throw away a different card, play a different card then, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay.
Pick your least desirable card.
But just
Exactly.
real quick though,
And that can sometimes happen because you've been forced to discard cards earlier and so on.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, the one thing I was just going to mention though is sometimes
30 seconds.
if you're dealing with multiple opponents, you might keep, against opponent number 1, you might keep distance, they might keep distance, you're out of measure between the opponent number 1, but if opponent number 2, stood ground or closed, you wouldn't be out of measure. So, it becomes a trickier game when you're dealing with multiple opponents.
Yeah, so you do track distance to different opponents separately when you're fighting 1-on-2. So Tony is right that sometimes you can use maneuvers like that to, drop it down to a 1-to-1 fight for one impulse and get to fight only one of those guys while his friend can't help. There's lots of little tactics like that.
Yeah.
Sometimes you want to have a shorter round just because you have a worst hand and you want to, each of you burning a pause is going to improve your relative position.
Yeah.
There's lots of times when you want that to happen.
Yeah, if you're
Sometimes
both
it just
using
happens by
long
accident,
weapons and
though.
you're anticipating he's going to keep distance and you have a crummy hand, yeah, it's a good way to, if you have a bad hand. I've done that a lot.
I often do it even with shorter weapon fighters.
Me too.
If I know, I think he's forced to keep distance because he wants to keep me from closing in on him. I can use that fact to decide strategically if I want to back away myself. I don't just want to do the thing he's anticipating.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
And if it's in later impulses and you don't have many cards left and you can burn an impulse to get to that next hand, I could see that being a strategy.
Potentially
as well.
yes, but the footwork impulse things only happen on impulses 1 and 2. So after impulse 3 to 6.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, there's the footwork's done. The things which have a similar effect later in the round is the active defenses. Like if you force the guy to pause with an active defense, sometimes you force the guy to pause with an active defense, but you don't have an attack to use on it. Kind of reveals that you're out of attacks.
Right.
Some of the defenses give you potentially an attack, or at least a chance to pick an extra card that you didn't have before. So
That's true. There's also abilities that do things later in the round too. There's things that can make people discard cards. There's things like you draw cards. Like the fencer's ability says if you play a blade parry and you're not hit, you can draw an extra card, and you can do that like the second last impulse of the round to get something new that wasn't in your hand before.
hope to
All
get
right.
an attack.
Thomas.
Yeah,
I
I'm flipping. I forget what I picked, so this will be a surprise to me.
Okay, he did a regular cut, and I did an artful dodge. So as soon as he stepped back in a measure, I'm trying to sidestep his attack. So he gets +3 because, and then his sword is +1, so he's 4 total. 3 for his prowess and 1 for his sword. Now, my card says 2, but I also am allowed to add passive shield, which means I get to use the polearm aspect of my. So that's 3. I get another 1 for my armor. That's 4, and I still have my prowess, which is 2 more. So that's 6. So he's got 4, and I've got 6. So he's a 13 to hit me.
Ooh, brutal. I am rolling.
All right, he got a 7, so he missed.
That's a miss.
Yeah, the red die is only a 6, so he doesn't have to pause. The distance would become long and longest, but all I did there was make him miss. If he had rolled a red 1 to 3 there, I would have also created an opening to hit him without him having initiative. But
that's true. That's very true. I'm considering my options and choosing, and ready when you are. I am flipping. So I opted for a fencer's blade parry.
Okay.
And you opted for a. Oh shit!
Heavy smash. So your fencer's blade parry is 2 for the card and 2 for your prowess. It's 4.
2 and 2. Correct. Yes.
And then you also have your armor, but your armor doesn't do anything against the smash.
That is correct.
And I've got 2 for my superior fighter, and I also have -1 for my weapon. So I need a 14 to hit you. Not quite as good because the sword is a little bit easy to use. I missed with a red 4, and a red 4, and I guess the fencer's blade parry is going to force me to pause. So we created an opening, but at least I don't have to worry about a ferocious blow because he just actively defended.
That is true. You were pausing, so I will just right away, and I have an artful thrust for you.
Okay, so he's got 4 for his prowess and sword. I've got 2 for my armor and polearm, so he needs a 9 to hit me. Not good.
Hold on, it did not give me the option for roll. Give me a second. Here's the roll button. 5 and 7. That's a 12. That's a regular hit.
Regular hit. Red became 6, so you're hitting me for ordinary damage.
Do you want to use any abilities, Thomas?
That's correct.
You want to use any abilities?
I would like to all my strength it.
Okay. So the hard leather against the thrust is going to drop it by 1. So that's 6, 7, 8. I'm taking 1 fatigue and 7 body. Going to drop me to 8. Not quite half.
Oh, so close.
I don't take a wound card, but
that hurt.
That hurt.
Still not good.
Yeah.
And this is the last impulse.
Don't forget about a half sword, Thomas. And you should flip over all your strength.
Sorry. Yeah, you used all your strength.
Yep.
Yeah, hold on. I am doing that right now. Let me flip that.
So half sword is an interesting ability. This is kind of the opposite of lunge. Lunge lets you increase your length, and half sword lets you decrease your length. It also gives you +1 to red, same as lunge does. But you can use it to, if you like step inside on somebody, you can use it to get the initiative by being the shorter weapon. You also can just use it for the extra plus red if you don't care about initiative state.
Hold on just a second. I need to read the card. For thrusts, great blows, or ferocious blows, you get +1 to your die, but your length is reduced by 2. Got it.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. The only the advantage forms of attack, the things which already have plus red, get an extra plus red for particularly good against people in armor. But all right.
I have wrestler. Oh yeah, I can't do that. And then I have sure-footed. Got it. Okay, I'm ready. I'm flipping, and I've got a ferocious blow for you.
We both do. Okay, so you've got 6 to my 1, 5. You only need a 6 to hit me.
And Thomas has initiative.
If I paused, it would be 7, but...
Ouch.
I got a 12 with a red 10.
Okay. So red 10 is WB on his broadsword. So that means he's doing 6, 7, 8, 9, 8. I'm out of fatigue, so he is doing all my body, and technically 2 wound cards. This I have to draw the wound cards because they matter, because I might be able to block 2 of the damage. I might be able to block 2 of the damage if my armor can give me a save against the extra W result.
So severe head wound or moderate bleeding.
Yeah.
He has a helmet, right?
He has a helmet.
I do have a helmet.
But moderate bleeding means you don't have a chance.
That's right.
Correct. You would pick the moderate bleeding.
I'm picking moderate bleeding. Bleeding.
If he had only gotten 1 W there, I would have gotten a save against that extra damage with my helmet. But because he got 2, because he knocked me over 50% as well as getting the W result. He can choose which of these cards to put on me. He puts the moderate bleeding on me, and that is wound card number 12. If you look over at my armor, my hardened leather gives saves against hits to my torso, 15 to 21, and my helmet gives saves for hits to my head, 23 and 24. But I don't have anything that gives a save against wound type 12. So he has incapacitated me and wins in the first round.
If you did have the ability, like the snake did previously, tough as nails, that would give you a wound save against this, right?
That's true. Yes.
So
correct.
There's no is a great ability.
Yes.
The wrestler one is the one that I have not much
familiarity with.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wrestler is particularly good at if you're closing a lot, because it gives you extra things you can do in the clinch, so to speak.
Yep.
If you close and the distances contact are short, you have to have hand free if it's short, and you get to bash opponents. Right. Basically, you can throw people. This is especially good if you're both weapon fighters. It also works with half sword in the sense that half sword makes you want to get in close, and so does wrestler. Okay.
Really.
Wow.
But you've managed to defeat this guy.
Thomas had a good night.
Push him aside.
That's a far cry from the 2 swordsmen.
Oh, I know. I got my ass. I mean, I didn't get my ass kicked, but
You almost died facing 2 prowess 3 swordsmen, and now you're taking out prowess 5 barbarians and giant snakes without a qualm.
I tell you, when you're fighting 2 or more, well, I mean, if there's 2 people in front of you, it's different.
I agree.
Exactly.
I agree.
All right.
So
I don't know if you guys want to keep going. We have the